Okay, so now that we've covered the basics of Basecamp and Google Drive, I'm going to show you start to finish how, as a reviewer or decision maker, you might provide feedback on a particular problem or make a decision about what should be done next with a particular problem. So I'm going to cover a little bit of the same things that we covered in the last few videos, but starting from the very beginning, this is how you might interact with the problem development system. So you're going to first go to Basecamp. And it's going to bring you to the login page. You're going to want to make sure to go to Create Basecamp, which is the one shared with performers. That will bring you to this home page where you can see all the different projects that you're a part of. You're going to want to click on this project called Phase 1 Product Development. And in this project, you're going to want to click on this page called To-Dos. And that will bring you to sort of this main page where you can see the entire problem portfolio, and you can kind of take a quick look at where each problem stands. And so, as I mentioned in previous videos, this page is useful for a number of reasons. First, it tells you, where, for example, this problem is in the stage of development. But more broadly, you can also, if you look at this page as a whole, you can kind of get a sense for where the problem portfolio stands. We have, for example, 5 problems that are open for review, and at the moment we don't have any in any of these queues. We don't have any ready for decision makers or building in Qualtrics or pre-testing, and then we have this whole backlog of problems that we've worked on previously that probably eventually will get cycled back into the system. And of course these ones down here, which we're done with, and if we really want to keep these out of the way, we can just click this box and you can see they kind of disappear down into this list of completed things. So at this point, we probably want to actually provide some feedback on a problem. So we're going to stick with this same problem that we've been looking at, number 1052, and we're going to click on its title, and that's going to bring us to this page that provides us with some information specific to this problem. Now, at the moment, this page is pretty sparse because nothing has happened with this problem. So one of the first things that we could do, just to kind of get this up to date, is we could click this edit button here, and you can see this will open up this green box where you can go in and change all the information about this problem. And the first thing that we might do is come down to this development history section here and say on 3/6, we don't want bold, 3/6/17, problem uploaded to repository and moved to review queue for initial review. And then we'll just put my initials in here to say that I was the one who added this note. And then while we're in here editing this, we can also assign a problem steward, which is a person who's just going to be responsible for moving this problem through the system. So let's, for the moment, assign me. We can just type an @ symbol and then start typing my name. And you can see that my face pops up. If I just hit enter, this will sort of tag me as the problem steward, and it will also send me an email letting me know that someone has used my name in this problem. So I'll immediately be alerted to the fact that someone assigned me as the problem steward. Additionally, from this edit page, we can, of course, change things like the title or any of the information we have here. But we could also, if we wanted this to be, if we wanted to notify reviewers that we wanted their feedback, we could go to this Assign To section, and we could begin typing people's names, like, for example, Barb. Oh, she's not on this project yet, that's why. So these are the only 4 people. Let's say we wanted Welton's feedback. We could just start typing Welton, and then hit enter, and that will assign Welton to this problem, and we can either click or unclick this box that says notify them about this assignment. We could also assign Hal, and me, and Ben. I think that's everybody. So we can really have any number of people on this problem at any time. And this is just basically a place to indicate who should be looking at this problem next. So since we don't want to irritate any of these people, I won't actually assign them. But if you wanted to, you just leave their names there. You click this Save Changes button, and because this box here has been checked, this Notify Them button, all of the people listed here in green will receive an email when I save the changes. We'll get rid of them for the moment. We can also, depending on what we think needs to happen to this problem next, assign either a due date for this problem or a range of dates that this can run from. So especially in the open review, if we're imagining that we want this problem open for review for 2 weeks, we could start with today's date, and we could go to the 20th, and let's just assign me, so you can see what this looks like. If we were to save this, just go to Save Changes. You can first see that the information we added now shows up on this page here, but even more useful, if you go to this To-Dos page, you can see that the information about the dates for this assignment and also who's assigned to it now show up here as well. And just one little thing of note, if you're interested, you can go to the Schedule page, and this will show you a complete sort of chronological list of when things are due. So at the moment we only have this one item, but you could of course imagine a bunch of different items in this page, all in chronological order. But back to this To-Dos page, let's say we actually want to solicit feedback from me. That's why we assigned it to me. I would then, once I received this email, I could come into come into Basecamp. I could see, okay, we want Josh's feedback between March 6th and March 20th. I could click on this link here to bring me to the Google folder, which, as I showed in the previous video, will bring you right to where the problem sits on Google Drive. I could then go to this main Word doc, which is where the problem itself actually lives, and I could open this up. And then this works more or less just like a Word doc, and I can provide inline edits, comments, really anything you can do in Word, you can do in this document. Now, the one thing to keep in mind is, depending on how we set up the system, you may come into this page either with editing access, which means you can simply write over things, and nothing will be kept track of on this page, though Google actually does track all of this stuff passively. Or, much more likely if you're a reviewer, you'll come in what's called the suggesting mode. So that will look like this. You'll have a little green box up here, and if you do start in editing mode, you just click this little drop-down menu to change to suggesting mode. And what this is essentially Google's version of track changes. So previously, when I was in editing mode, you could see that as I deleted this, it just goes away. I'll put it back. In in suggesting mode, what happens instead is if I try to delete this, it'll do a strike through, just like in track changes, and then it will automatically add this little comment here that says, Josh suggested that we deleted this line top of form, and that's probably a good idea since this was just something that came over automatically when I ported this problem from Qualtrics to a Word document. So just like in track changes, you can just type suggestions in line, and they'll show up there, and you can delete things and it will strike it through. And as you can see, as I'm doing this, Google is constantly keeping track of what I'm doing. So it says, I suggested that we replace this capital P with, type the phrase type suggestions in line, and then I just got rid of the rest of the word please. And just like in track changes, you can also copy and paste things. So I'm going to do Control-C to copy this text, and then I might scroll down to the bottom. If I wanted to just change this text entirely, I could come down here, and I could just go down here, and I could paste that by doing Control-V. And you can see over here it says, I'm suggesting that we add this back in, and then of course I can then edit this to reflect the changes that I would like to see. So I can say, I think a better wording would be something like this. So this feature, this sort of copy and pasting style of reviewing is particularly useful if you just think the whole problem needs sort of massive changes in wording. As you can see, that's sort of the basic editing functionality. If you want to comment instead, it's just like in Word. You can highlight any part of the text that you're interested in, and you'll see that this little button here pops up, this Add a Comment button, and I can just click on that, and it will give me a space to comment. I say, I think this is great. I can leave a comment. And interestingly, let's see, it may not, oh, right. So another thing that we can do, let's say I wanted Welton to do something in particular to change this problem. I could, rather than using the @ symbol, the way Google does it is just you type a plus symbol. You can see it'll pull up all of your different contacts who you think might be related to this project. You can click on Welton's name, and I can say, hey Welton, please revise this. And I could, if I wanted to, click this box that says assign to Welton, which again will email him, saying that, you know, I've asked that I've mentioned him in a comment and I want him to do something in this document. Excuse me, and I'm not going to leave this comment because I don't want to irritate him. But once I do this, if I've tagged someone, Welton then actually can come into this document and reply directly to this comment. When he looks at this comment, there'll be a little button that says reply, and he can respond directly to what I've said here. So I'm actually just going to cancel, get rid of this. So as you can see, this is kind of the basic review infrastructure. You can comment, you can copy and paste, you can make inline suggestions just like in track changes. And importantly, depending on exactly how the revision process comes through, or shapes up, excuse me, you can just accept these suggestions or reject them. So because I don't actually want to make any changes to this document, I'm just going to get rid of all these things. And you can see that everything goes back the way it was. For comments, you actually can just say resolve, and everything goes back to the way it was. This. Okay. Now, if you're a decision maker, presumably, you know, all those comments would still be here. But after 2 weeks, we've given everyone a chance to provide their feedback. This document now has, you know, all these comments and all these suggestions on the side. What you might do is you could go back to Basecamp, and you could find this same problem in the to-dos page. So this number 1052 that we've been looking at. And because we're done with the period of open review, we want to move this this problem to some other work queue. So probably at this point, because we have all the suggested revisions, we want to move it to revise and resubmit. So to do that, you can just come over here to this little hamburger button, and you can see when you hover over it, you get this kind of crosshairs guy. And then you can just click and drag this problem wherever you want on this page. And so I can just drop it into revise and resubmit. And, you know, let's imagine we want someone else to do the revisions. We can come into this page with the individual information, go to edit again, just delete my name and put in Hal's name, for example. We can say we'd like to notify Hal, and we want Hal to finish this by Friday. And we'll just go ahead and save these changes. And as you can see, again, these changes are reflected in the sort of individual information page, but also in this main to-dos page. Now, when Hal logs into Basecamp, what he'll see when he comes to this page is under revise and resubmit, here's problem 1052. It's assigned to him, and there's a date of March 10th, which pretty clearly is indicating, you know, hey Hal, we'd like you to implement the revisions and resubmit this problem to the repository by March 10th. And so he could then come in here, click on this problem, go again to Google Drive, which he would do by clicking on this link. It would bring him first to this page, click here, then to the problem itself. And though I've deleted all the comments, Hal would then be able to see everything that everyone suggested and to incorporate those revisions into this problem. Now, the one key thing at this point, because we want to very clearly document all of the different steps, all the different revisions that this problem has been through since it was added to the system, what Hal probably wouldn't do is make those revisions directly in this actual document called 1052. What he would instead do is make a clean version of this document with the revisions incorporated and then upload it as version 2 of this problem. So as you can see, this is V1 here. Hal would re-upload the new version as 1052 V2. So we would be able to, in the future, come back and still see, all the comments that are supposed to be here in V1 and then in V2. So we can directly compare the two versions and see how we got from one to the next. And then once Hal was done, he could come back to this to-dos page. At this point, we would have a new problem, which it's not here at this point, but we would have a new version of this problem, 1052, a V2. Hal could take this V1 and he could drag it all the way down to superseded and dead, because this problem has now been superseded. He could take his name off the problem by going to edit, go to this here, delete the due date, come down to this development history section, document what he did, said on, let's imagine it was tomorrow, Hal incorporated revisions and uploaded V2, moved V1 to superseded dead, and then I don't know Hal's middle name, but HB to indicate that Hal did it, and then he could go ahead and save those changes. So I'm going to discard them. But once those changes were saved, then the next person to come into the system would see that V1 all the way down here in superseded and dead, and then there would be a brand new V2 that would probably end up back in this open for review queue, or perhaps the decision maker queue, depending on how far along in the development process it was, so that either we could go through another round of review and another round of revision, or we could, if we thought the problem was ready, we could build it in Qualtrics, get it ready for pre-testing, either at the small scale or the large scale, or if we really thought it was finished, leave it right here in this ready to deploy queue. So I'm going to go ahead and undo all the changes that I did, but that is the basic way the system works. From this to-dos page, you can click and drag things, just like I'm doing now, by grabbing this little hamburger button. And then by clicking on the title of the problem and going to edit, you can indicate who needs to be paying attention to this problem just by typing their name, and when we need their response by going to this due date section. And you can either do a single due date or a range of dates that say we need this between today and a week from today. And then finally, just so that person knows what they're doing, you just document each step that's taken in this development history section. And so that's it. That's the basic way to use the problem development system. And if you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with either Welton, Hal, or myself.